matchup. Mark Few, highest winning percentage among active head coaches. The legendary run that he has had up in Spokane. As his Gonzaga Bulldogs come in with a record of 8-3, 2 national runner-up finishes for Few's Bulldogs over the last 5 years. A look at how we will start this game. This Alabama team led by Nate Oates, 9-1 on the season. They started the same starting 5 the first 9 games of the year, but with the injury now to Damari Burnett, who is out 4 to 6 weeks with that wrist injury, it is Jaden Bradley, another freshman, stepping onto the big stage for the Crimsontide. But so far, that has been a good thing for Nate Oates and this Alabama team. You just consider, Jim, what he has built in short order in Tuscaloosa, about an hour's drive from where we are here in Birmingham. Of course, succeeded Bobby Hurley at Buffalo, and already 2 NCAA tournament appearances with this school in his first 3 years. Look at what these two teams, how they approach things. Again, the youth of Alabama, Jim, really no team, no marquee team in Division I relies more on their first-year players than Nate Oates.
Exactly. When you think of that too, Spiro, it's you know, he has a terrific style of play for Alabama, and you can see why guys, and they had a terrific recruiting class last year, why guys want to come and play for him. It's a fun, open type of play on the floor. You get to shoot the ball from long range. You like to run up and down, so it's a fun way to play basketball.
And he's a math guy.
He sure is.
You like him.
Yeah, he'll crunch the numbers for us.
Mark Sears in Alabama control, and we are off and running here in Birmingham. Top 15 matchup between 2 national championship hopefuls. Here's Sears. What an addition he's been. This is Brandon Miller.
Really unlimited range out there. That's a stroke he likes, and Sears will shoot it also. Most of these guys will step across.
Alabama, #1 rebounding team in the country, already showing you why. There's some contact. Strong move to the cup by Anton Watson, and he'll earn a trip to the free throw line.
That's a pretty good challenge in the open floor, a little step through. Sometimes you get that second guy in there, but neither one of them got close enough to the ball. Good work just then by Watson to get out after a pretty strenuous effort in the half-court defense by Gonzaga.
Second straight season in which these two teams are meeting. They met last year in Seattle for the first ever time between these two schools. So this part of a 2-year deal. This basically a home game for Alabama. About a 50-mile drive from Tuscaloosa.
And in that game, Spiro, Alabama got off to an early start. So that's one of the things that Mark Few is very concerned with in terms of thinking it through and making sure they don't get off to that fast start here.
Alabama off since Tuesday when they beat Memphis.
Look at the defense out front.
Sears the drive, and it's a traveling violation. Terrific interior defense, as the Zags giving Alabama a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, Nate Oates wondering about the call just then, but one of the things Gonzaga doing a very nice job early on of perimeter defense in terms of coming out and attacking and approaching it.
Gonzaga off since Monday, their 71st straight victory at the McCarthy Center in Spokane. Incredible. Watson a fake, turn back. Interior defense, that was the freshman Noah Clowney.
Yeah, they help one another so well.
Beautiful bank and a chance at 3 for Bradley.
So there's Alabama in a nutshell, the way they play at both ends of the floor. When you look at the way they converge defensively, 2 guys down in the blocks, helping one another out, the timing and trying not to foul, and then being able to push it up. And Bradley, you know, with his body at 6'3", 185, he goes to the basket a whole lot stronger than, almost looks like he should be about 215, but he really holds the body well going towards the basket.
Big-time prospect, McDonald's All-American, consensus 5-star recruit.
I'd look for a backdoor cut from either side of the floor here. The way these guys are leaning towards half court.
That is Strother, beautifully done by the junior from Las Vegas.
He will mix it up, drive it to the basket, but it's key for the guards for Gonzaga to hit some outside shots.
Sears! Side pocket 3 won't go, and this is Drew Timme.
Yeah, he can handle it, and he can pass it.
Nolan Hickman A little bit short, and the Zags are cold at the start.
But here we go with the race. They want to get into this type of game. Good no call right there.
Both teams still trying to find their stroke. This is Miller. Wide open splash.
Those second chance opportunities on offensive rebounds. If you give Miller that look and that stroke, I was watching him before the game. Terrific with shooting it.
Timmy front rim. Crimsontide looking to push. Bradley. Jim, there's something about this team, a confidence level you just don't normally see with a side loaded with so many freshmen. Contact, basket will count. What a shot by Strother.
Yeah, Miller out of position that time defensively. Used the hands instead of the legs. So he gets by. You see he's in trouble right there. Now watch, he comes across the body again and just gets him on the arm. That's a good call from the officials and a pretty good finish.
Strother, a little bit of a streaky shooter. We know how good he is as a rebounder, defensive player, but Naismith and Wooden preseason watch lists, so much talent. If he is giving them scoring numbers, this is a far different Gonzaga offense.
For sure, because then it opens up Timmy a little bit better down on the blocks.
Sears, this will be a reaching foul on Hickman.
I think this is a game of scouting reports and understanding who's a left-handed player, who's a right-handed player, and forcing them to their weaknesses. Sears is one of these guys who loves to go left. He's terrific in terms of commanding the offense. Mark Few's team has to jump his left hand and make him go right as much as they can.
Foul actually charged to Bolton, his first. This is Miller.
And Watson, a very good defensive player.
Miller. Boy, that's a thing of beauty.
Yeah,
everything
sure
but the finish. Bediako all over the place. Another three-point heater from the freshman.
And the interesting part about Miller getting that second look at it is he's like Seth Curry in ways, and we'll point this out as we go, Spiro. He doesn't bring the ball up over his head to shoot it like a traditional old-time player like you and me. He shoots it on the way up from the shoulder up, and it's much, much faster.
Three-point stroke from Strother won't go. And again, the Crimsontide controlling the glass at both ends of the floor.
Nobody picking up Bradley. There you go. Finally, Timmy gets it.
Cloudy. It is a shooting clinic from Bama.
I think Mark Few gives them one more possession at this end to see if they can get a bucket to stymie the crowd a little bit.
Timmy quiets him down at least for the moment.
Yeah, Timmy is so good. We've spoken about, and everybody speaks about his footwork, which is fabulous, but he learns how to run the middle of the floor very well.
Sears off target to the left. And the Zags want to push with Strother.
Yeah, pretty good 4 minutes of basketball there. That's an exchange. Going to go the other way.
Good veteran crew here in Birmingham. Terry Oglesby, Don Daly, Chuck Jones. Mark Few pacing in front of that bench. We had a chance to visit with Few yesterday, and he touched on just how important this game is. Last non-conference game against an elite-level team as the Zags try to build their resume as much as they can, Jim.
Yeah, it puts a stamp on the non-conference, but also down the road when you're looking at who they have beaten. This would be a nice one to have on their belt. They put Salas in the game now. He gives them a lift defensively.
Bradley, what a start for him. Second straight start for the freshman for Burnett.
Yeah, that's one of the points in terms of knowing who's a righty and who's a lefty. They turn the corner and goes to the basket. Timmy again, watch the footwork.
But just masterful.
Yeah, they'll switch up a little bit depending on the matchups. Bediako is the one guy that they think can play him one-on-one a little bit better. But if not, they'll run some double teams, especially if he gets warmed up on the blocks.
It's one of the few weaknesses for Alabama's offense, the turnover issues that they've had. But this kid, Brandon Miller, struggled last week in the win at Houston. A flaming hot start for Miller. Where he recruited the school's first black player, Wendell Hudson. He also started the first all-black lineup in the history of the SEC. Newton's teams would win 3 straight SEC conference titles at Alabama. And then in 1989, he returned to his alma mater, Kentucky, as the athletic director there. He hired the school's first black head coach in Tubby Smith. Kentucky would go on to win 2 national championships under Newton's watch. The second one, of course, under Rick Pitino. Just a legendary run. There's his son, Martin, the athletic director at Sanford. Jimmy, just up the road. What a moment for him to take this all in.
Yeah, I mean, him and the rest of the sold-out arena right now is a great opportunity to share in CM Newton's name, and also played a little baseball at Kentucky, too.
Look at you digging in. What a scene this is. This actually will be a site for the NCAA tournament this year in March. It'll be a first and second round site. Great building, great vibes. And this is an underrated basketball town here in Birmingham.
It sure is. I mean, and like you just said, this building, I love the way this building is kind of like at each end, it's kind of steep straight up, and it feels like everybody's sitting right on top of one another.
And Jim, can we make the official proclamation? Nate Oates has Alabama officially now as a basketball school as well.
I think it's safe to go out on that limb. They're going to be around at the end of this season. There's no question about that.
Beautiful looking stroke by Rajier Bolton to get him his first points. So the Zags just trying to weather the early storm. If you've just joined us, 3-point barrage from the Crimsontide. This is going to be an offensive foul against Bradley.
A little too anxious to get in there. You watch the right arm extension. Good call from the officials on this one. Watch the right arm. He gets to a good spot on the floor. Doesn't have to push off because he's just going to try to step back and extend. Quinterly in this game also right now, so it gives him 2 different looks in terms of the point guard.
Gonzaga already 3 losses on the season. Texas, Purdue blown out in both of those games, and then the 1-point defeat to Baylor.
It was one of those double teams, Spiro, the 2 bigs coming in and collapsing on Timmy just then. I think he had a 5-foot jumper there if he wanted it. Nice pass.
Just exquisite find. That was Noah Gurley, the recipient. Brilliantly done by Quinterly.
So when you look down low, here's the second guy in. That's going to be trouble for Timmy because he's squeezed in along the baseline right there. On the other side, they just finished it off with a nice cut to the hoop.
Started to touch on the Zags. Mark Few told us yesterday it's the hardest non-conference schedule that they have ever played under his watch. It's a big statement coming from him. Dangerous pass in traffic. And another Alabama turnover.
And a tough pass because Hickman had that read pretty well in the middle of the floor. Yeah, it has been a tough conference. Non-conference schedule, I should say, for Mark Few's team.
Actually, the first time in 3 years they did not begin the season as the AP #1 team in the country. Few still tinkering with his lineups, trying to find the right mix in his rotations. But this is the linchpin right here, the headliner, Timmy.
He's got to pass that out. He's in trouble. Could be 3 seconds, I think.
Yes, it is. Traveling violation.
Yep. That was one I was surprised that Timmy didn't kick that straight out to the top of the key area because he had a shooter just waiting. So 3, 4 guys meet the Alabama defense. And Timmy tries to go in and he steps into that walk.
Jim, it's easy for us to say over here, that's a swarming defense around Timmy.
Swarming, Spiro, and also long and quick, and they get off the floor in a hurry. So if one guy is one-on-one with him, he can use those moves down low, but he constantly has to look for a second guy in, especially when he's shooting the ball underneath the hoop.
Freshman Ryland Griffin, a 4-star recruit out of Dallas, is checked into the game.
A little mismatch out front right here.
This is Griffin, guarded by Salas. What a matchup there.
Surprised he's not trying to go by Timmy in the bigs out front. Nice look.
Quinterly, another Bama turnover. Again, that's their Achilles heel, already 6.
Clowney just holding it off right there. Look at the way they collapse those. It's almost like they're playing a zone out of a man-to-man.
This is Griffin, masterful. Boy, Bolton gets down the floor quickly. Watson takes it back and puts it down, and he's fouled.
I think that was after a main basket just then, wasn't it? The way they blitz it down the floor. You know, we've spoken about Alabama going up and down, but Gonzaga will run with you. There's no question about it. Here's a beautiful twist to the basket. His numbers have been down. Griffin is playing time just a little bit, but with that injury to Burnett, he'll find some additional playing time. Good effort there in the open floor.
Foul charge to Quinterly, his first. So here's Watson, homegrown kid, top 50 recruit out of Spokane. Started as a high school player at Gonzaga Prep. Kind of an injury-plagued first couple of years within the program, but first-year starter for Mark Few. And he's off to a good offensive start, trying to keep the Zags within single digits.
They keep getting that switch out front. That means there's a big versus little down on the blocks if they can get it to him.
This is Quinterly. Wow. Intercepted. Malachi Smith into the game for Few. They'll reset to Watson. They're going to give him that shot, and Watson continues this hot start.
Yeah, Spiro, sometimes in the scouting report, people don't focus on Watson, so it's almost like a 4-on-5 offense versus defense. But if they give him that little floater there, he'll be fine.
Already nearly the season average, and another Alabama turnover forced.
Yeah, leaving the floor is that no-no, especially when you have no place to go with it. And Sears pushes his way through. Now watch in here, he's going to lift. And sometimes I wonder, I know that's a charging call by rule, Spiro, but sometimes I have to debate whether that should be the rule or not. Guy just can't, once he puts 1 foot down. Nice drive to the hoop. He's active, Watson, even though he missed the shot.
Gurley with the clear, not as Sears. This is Quinterly.
This is when they're tough, Spiro, when they keep the ball hopping.
Gurley, traveling violation.
Wow, the turnovers are just anxious.
9 Alabama turnovers committed by Nate Oates' Crimsontide, a 4-point Alabama teams in the country, and they have gone deep into the analytics as they look for the high percentage shots. Jim, it was interesting to hear your conversation with Nate Oates, of course, the former math teacher, stats major, talking about points per shot.
Right, and so what this indicates, Spiro, is you see these numbers right here across the board. Obviously, those spots are very efficient in terms of, now you need a good percentage to make those numbers get over 1 point per shot. But in the middle one right here, you have the shot right there. He shoots it at about 65%, Alabama. So that number is even higher than the average. It comes out to almost like 1.30. So you want to keep it in tight. He wants to keep it out in the perimeter. You notice those .7s in the middle, the mid-range shots, they're more contested. And therefore they're worth less points, if you will, from a strategy standpoint. Did I lose you there or not?
You lost me after about 5 seconds, but that's not saying much. Beautiful looking stroke by Hickman.
The point is they don't like mid-range because they're defended more, and they like to push it out and push it in.
Yeah, note to self, don't sit between the math whiz and the finance guy talking about numbers. I was as confused as I've been in my adult life yesterday. Boy, Quinterly quickly putting his imprint on this game off the bench.
Here they come again. Smith is good in the break.
Smith right to the cup. And now it's high octane back and forth.
Guards are looking for those mismatches for Alabama out front. Quinterly got one. This is not one, but Hickman puts the hand out and stops it for a foul.
So the Zags fighting their way back. It's a 1-point game. Up tomorrow night, a new holiday movie from executive producer Sheryl Crow is Music to Our Ears, When Christmas Was Young. Tomorrow here on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. A little more than a week before Christmas. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Nice to have you with us from Birmingham, Alabama. Crimsontide, highest ranking for this program at 16 years. Against a Gonzaga team at 8-3, looking for their last chance at a big non-conference victory. Hickman, by the way, was just whistled for a second personal. And that interior Alabama defense has been something to watch.
Yeah, number 6 in the country, and they block about 6 per game. And their timing, one of the key things, Bediako is very good at it, is trying to keep his body away from the body of the shooter. There's that little push shot that he'll get. Bediako is going to sit underneath the basket for the most part. Nice design there by Gonzaga.
First lead for Gonzaga.
Ooh, Salas isn't going to like that call.
Griffin trying to force the issue, getting himself into the paint. So an impressive little run here, Jim, after Alabama jumped on and blitzed them early. Zags taking their first lead of the half.
You know, experience, and Nate Oates spoke about this before the game. They're an experienced team, Gonzaga, so he knows that they're going to hang around. They're going to be there for the most part. And I think when you're experienced and you play a non-conference schedule like the Zags have played, Spiro, that combination should help Mark Few's team, not only in today's game to kind of weather the storm and grind and grunt things out, but also at the same time prepare him for his conference and beyond.
A few pacing in front of that bench. Has some things to think about here with Hickman just picking up his second personal. So Malachi Smith now joins Salas in the backcourt. Smith, the player of the year in the Southern Conference last year. First year within this Mark Few-led program.
And remember, they also have Bolton, who can handle the ball out front. So
Timmy, just beautifully done. Turns. Not much they can do with that shot.
Yeah, and I love when he catches it, and before he goes with it, he knows where the defender is. I mean, another bump out front. But Timmy is so good at, before he catches the ball, Spiro, he knows where the defender is and where that defender's going to slide to try to stop him. He's already anticipated that, and he goes right into his shot. Very tricky with the basketball.
We come up on the midway point of this first half. Here's Sears, turn of the corner.
See how he directs it, though, with the left hand? Much better going to his left and getting open shots for his teammates. They got to jump that and make him go right.
That was Griffin on a missed three. This is Strother to the wreck, high off glass.
Well, the floater just had to get away from Clowney, who could block a shot from time to time, but Strother just really strong enough to make it happen.
Half dozen for Strother, his third field goal. This is Bediako, and he's fouled.
So you see Strother going to the basket. Watch, he gets around the corner. He attacks a little bit. He gets a little bit of a graze and really concentrates to finish that off. And look at Sears going to his left again, Spiro. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of how he can direct the traffic so well with his strong hand.
So here's Bediako with a chance at the three-point play. There's Nate Oates, the 48-year-old head coach, year 4 in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, only 44% on the season early on with the numbers from the free throw line.
Jim, anyone who watched that Alabama game at Houston last week, #1 team in the country, playing in their gym, packed house. They were down double digits, 16 points in the second half, and Alabama came back.
Right,
this is so impressive. Ben Gregg on a three-point jack.
Yeah, that's what he does, Spiro. He doesn't slide to the basket all that much.
And look at Gregg getting his hands dirty.
That's an effort and a half along the right sideline here. But he's a pick and pop type of guy. Timmy will screen and slide to the basket, but Gregg will shoot the ball from long range.
That's the 10th Alabama turnover that the Zags have forced. And how about that highlight sequence for Ben Gregg? Developing player. He grew up in the suburbs of Portland. He's only a sophomore, but starting to get some big minutes for Mark Few.
Most of the people upstairs are making the noise because they can't see down low on the floor. That was a terrific play because he smacked the ball, hits the foot, and then pulls his hand away.
Show the turnover numbers. That's been one of the big headlines so far. Malachi Smith feeds the post. This is Timmy. Well played by Bediako.
Good kick out, too, by Timmy.
Bolton into the paint. Soft touch.
It's a simple concept. You get it to the blocks, good things happen, and then that allows you to open up a driving lane. Beautifully done by Gonzaga in their half-court sets. See, there's the left again, and it's causing problems. There's no question about it. Sears is causing problems with picking up some fouls.
So Gonzaga, after a little bit of a quiet start, forcing the turnovers with their defense, and their offense starting to heat up.
Yeah, and it's that team defense that they play. They're very aware because they know where their sets are at the offensive end of the floor. And when the ball comes down the other end, because they have good offensive sets, their defense just kind of funnels into good spots on the floor.
Alabama and Arizona, the only 2 teams in the country that have beaten 3 ranked teams so far this season. Of course, that's old hat for Mark Few.
It sure is.
59-year-old coach, year 24 up in Spokane. 10 straight regular season titles in the West Coast Conference. Just a mythical run that he's been on up in the Pacific Northwest.
Last 3 years and this year, 91% of the games he's coached, he's won. Let's see if they double team him.
Timmy drop step, left hand, textbook.
Yeah, it's textbook, Spiro, and it's one-on-one too. I think you're going to see a judgment made by Alabama that when he catches it, they have to decide to run somebody to get it out of his hands.
Timmy came in red hot, nearly 26 per game over his last 3. Off to the best start of his career. Bradley the kick, now to Sears, underneath, Bradley, boy, took contact, couldn't finish.
Getting a lot of mileage out of their half-court defense, Gonzaga.
Bolton as we cross the 8-minute mark. This is Timmy, and he's starting to heat up. Wow. Drew Timme starting to cook.
He really doesn't have the range beyond like the top of the key. It's always funneled into the floor, but free throw line and in. He's in the high 60s there with those types of shots.
Sears on a step back check.
Yeah, that's getting that one-on-one breakdown again with Timme to be able to get his shot off.
Meantime, at this end, Gonzaga has hit 7 straight shots.
They're thinking about double teaming, but nobody's coming yet. He gets his shots off, doesn't he? That one, he was a little off balance.
Timme already with a dozen. This is going to be an offensive foul. Nicely done by Watson to draw contact.
Yeah, so Gonzaga needs a bucket. They've been going to Timme for years and years, and here he is. Watch the footwork, and then he kicks it out to Bolton, who really makes things happen in the middle of the floor. So a good decision by Timme, and here he is with that 15-foot jump.
Year candidate, showing you why he's off to the best start of his career.
And he gets as much mileage out of that pivot foot as anybody. And here we've seen 2 of his shots, little floaters, but the pivot is great. Sometimes he just turns with it. Other times he extends with it. 6 of 9 from the floor. Smooth. Now the question becomes too, Spiro, with this offense is, as we take a look at his shots and where they're coming from. I think that the one outside shot, he's not a three-point shooter. I think it's 1 for 11 on the season, so that was not a good shot for him. But really, 6 or 8 from the floor, missing 2 down contested shots. But the question now becomes who's going to complement him and score and be consistent for Gonzaga in terms of how this game will progress. I got to believe Alabama's going to make some changes.
There's Drew's parents, Matt and Megan, making the long trek to watch their son Drew. What a player he's become, one of the all-timers in this program.
Yes, for sure.
And that's some pretty elite company. But Jim, you're right. That's really the question for this team. Can they find that consistent #2 scoring option behind Timme? It's one of the issues they had down the stretch. Last seconds of that loss against Baylor. Will it be Strother, who's off to a good start today? Not that time. Yeah, Watson, offensive rebound.
Yeah, good work by Watson to keep this possession alive.
Strother back to Timme, inside against Bediako. Nicely done with the defense.
You got to remember that Bediako's 7 feet tall, so if he gets good position.
There he is, boy. Watson knocked it loose from the back. A sellout crowd and strong Alabama partisans wanted some contact.
So did Brandon Miller in the front, speaking to one of the officials. He's got to be careful with that.
So 6:34 left to play. Alabama, if you've just joined us, jumped out to a 9-point lead.
Left corner's deadly. That's what they run that set for, the baseline set. They get a double screen for Sears in the corner.
And that's one of the highest percentage shots. We saw that shot earlier in terms of points per shot. So
well, you were paying attention, huh?
I'm a late student. 3-pointer from Salas won't go.
Good push.
Bediako surrounded. Sears wide open. Won't get a better look than that.
When you said Bediako was wide open, turn and just dunk the ball, I thought. He was 2 feet away from the basket, and everybody went right by him.
Timme, a patented leaner, not that time, and it's last touch by Bama. Alabama 9-1, #4 ranked team in the country, their highest ranking in 16 years. Have to go all the way back to the 06-07 season. Another look at that last sequence. Who touched it last?
I think it might have been Miller's hand. He's got long hands. It might have been off the fingertips.
So the Zags maintain with 20 seconds to shoot.
They need Smith to give him a lift at this end of the floor also.
Zags have hit straight, 7 straight. They've missed their last 6. Watson, no. They keep it alive to Smith. Now they reset Salas. 5 to shoot. Watson's going to launch.
Yeah, live with that. And there's a push. With Reed on the offensive glass, but Alabama will live with Watson shooting the ball from out there.
And Jim, that's what we're talking about. Timme sits.
Yep.
Where do you turn for offense if you're Mark Few?
Well, that's where the guards have to step up, right? They either have to do it when they get a good look, an open shot, or from the driving to the basket. But You just got to find somebody to score a couple of points while he's on the bench.
Going to the line for the Crimsontide, number 14.
So 1-on-1 situation. Bediako back to the free throw line. He's only a 44% free throw shooter. Sophomore, Ontario, Canada native. And they leave more points at the stripe.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie sometimes.
This is Bolton now resets.
He can hit that shot too, so Smith, they'll guard him right around the three-point line.
Efton Reed, the LSU transfer, is checked in for Mark Few. That's Smith, well short.
Yeah, good recovery by Miller defensively.
And the Zags have now missed 7 straight. Sears showing a handle. Everything but the finish, and Smith rips it back for the Zags.
They don't really have numbers this trip. Let's see if they reload and set some. They like to set a lot of off-ball screens.
This is Reed, full-time starter for LSU last season. Big piece for them. Missed it.
Yeah, they're thinking about Bediako behind them for sure.
See the offensive draft for Gonzaga. Contact as Bradley forces the issue. I'll get non-stop sports news, expert picks, and the biggest highlights as we take a look at our progressive game summary. Beg your pardon, 5-point Gonzaga lead. 3-point shooting numbers, but again, the turnovers
are
part of the story.
Yeah, they're a big number. And when you think about it, just not only the turnovers themselves, but what it's done to their offense in terms of taking them out of their flow and also picking up a couple of offensive fouls to put fouls on the ledger also.
So here's Jaden Bradley, again the freshman out of IMG Academy in Florida. McDonald's All-American, consensus 5-star recruit. He was actually the #1 rated point guard in his class. But making another start for the injured Damari Burnett. Nate Oates loves his defense, but he's got some talent at this end of the floor. Jimmy as well. Good start for Bradley.
Yeah, he's averaging 8 points a game, but he's also played well in the last 5, where he's got double-figure scoring in all of those games. So he's starting to get that time. He's starting to take advantage of it, and that little bit of confidence starts to move up a notch.
3-point game. This is Salas.
Yeah, he gives them energy.
Reed got it. Badly needed shot for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and if they watch the way they're being defended, if somebody slides into the middle of the paint, the foul out front. A little extra contact after that whistle just then.
So Reed and Miller get tangled up a little bit. Second personal on Strother. And now double bonus rest of the half for Alabama with 4 and change left before halftime.
For Alabama, number 24, Brandon Miller, shooting 2.
82% shooter at the line. Watch the way he extends on his shot. It's as good as I've seen.
He's got that compact delivery. So impressive. Well, you can get non-stop sports news, expert picks, and the biggest highlights on CBS Sports HQ, the free 24/7 Sports News Network. Download the CBS Sports app to watch today. Miller, highest scoring freshman in the country. He's already Nate Oates' top scorer and rebounder. As impressive as any first-year player, Jimmy, in the country.
And unselfish to boot.
Bolton, in and out.
That's the shot they need to go down. Off the dribble, 15-footers. They really need it when they get an open look.
So Drew Timmy's still on the bench. Contact.
How about the hesitation by Miller on that one to get back to the line? There are times this year where he hasn't shot the ball great, has struggled once or twice this year, but he gets to the free throw line and he makes it.
You saw
the Houston game was a problem.
Right. Did not hit a basket in that game, and normally you'd sit a kid down, especially a freshman, but Nate Oates kept him in the game because he kept defending, rebounding. He hit those big free throws down the stretch in that game last weekend. And Nate Oates told us yesterday he's not even close to his ceiling yet as a player.
No, you can see it. I mean, he was 0 for 8 in that game, and Nate Oates kept, like you said, kept him in. And you can get to the line with confidence. You know, when you see a freshman struggle throughout a big game against a team like Houston and then has the ability to come back and make his free throws in the last 3 minutes, that tells you something about a kid who can shake off negatives and just keep thinking positive.
1-point Gonzaga lead in front of 15,000 plus here at Birmingham. Bolton, high arching 3.
42% shooter on the season, so exactly what we had been speaking about. Who's going to step up and get a good look? Watch the delayed dribbles that he has.
This is Gurley. Still plenty of time to shoot. Gurley against Watson. Series of fakes, but he worked hard for those two.
You notice how he kept that pivot foot from dragging. He slammed it down to the floor and was able to put the brakes on with the other foot. There's that little slice cut. Nice pass.
Boy, Timmy, just exquisite pass. Watson cutting backdoor. And there's that high-level offense we've grown accustomed to seeing from Mark Hughes' teams.
Yeah, and what you do is you look at Timmy when he catches the ball. You think he's going to try to score a beautiful pass in the middle of the lane for the backdoor cut.
Final 3 minutes before halftime. This is Bradley, the freshman, trying to take on Watson. He's going to put it down, and a chance at three.
And Watson never got himself established on that play going to the basket. Bradley very strong, understanding how to use his body to make it happen so he can get body first. There it is. Shot second, and it helps when you get a friendly roll to boot.
Team member Jay Wright will have all the first half analysis. They'll also look ahead to North Carolina and Ohio State. All the latest scores and highlights, top 25 around the country. It's all coming up on AT&T at the house.
Welcome aboard, Jay.
Yes, sir, indeed. Television natural. There's Jaden Bradley. Boy, how impressive has this kid been, Jimmy, so far in this first half?
Yeah, I love the way he's mixing it up, too. A little drives on the transition and fast break, but I love the way he battles inside and puts his body against defenders to make things happen and get to the line. And one of the things that Gonzaga's doing well is, Timmy has his 12 points, Spiro, but they are supporting him. The supporting cast is scoring some points around him. So that's a good sign for Gonzaga here in the first half.
7 for Bolton, 8 points for Watson already at his season average.
Just under 9.
There's Bolton, three-pointer, left it a little bit short, and Clowney with the loose change. Here's Quinterly coming off the ACL tear last season. Bama fans recall he injured that knee, devastating about 5 minutes into their NCAA tournament game in the first round against Notre Dame. Long road back for that kid.
Yeah, they didn't expect him back this quickly, so he's getting into form and into shape, and that's why you're seeing them go behind the screens for him to let him shoot the basketball. Hasn't got his shooting touch yet. Shooting it really, just struggling from the outside. 28%.
Come up on the final 2 minutes before the intermission. This is Malachi Smith. Finally gets it on the post to Timmy.
See the way they all clear out? Want to step through right here.
Right between two, puts it down, and contact.
He has so much patience, Spiro, when you watch him. If you just slow him down just a touch. And watch when they clear out. This is the most important part. Get out of his way. Double team comes, but by the time the double team comes across, he slipped the foot through. So he sees the double team coming. Watch that big step. Right through two guys to finish it off. It becomes a difficult play on the catch and a simple play because he's so good in just laying it in. Becomes the old 1-on-0. Not a bad way to score.
Timmy, the senior, he grew up in Dallas. His idol as a kid was Dirk Nowitzki. You watch him play, and it certainly makes a little sense. Of course, doesn't have the three-point shot yet like Dirk.
He could shoot it just a little bit, that guy.
But just so much in his offensive toolbox. And he's given Gonzaga a 4-point lead.
Not a good set out front. Good, well defended.
Boy, Quinterly trying to throw it off the leg of Watson.
Good catch.
This is Bolton. He'll fire.
I'm not so sure about that one. Maybe stepped out of bounds with Timmy. You're right on it, though, Spiro. He did try to throw it right off the defender. Here he gets in trouble. He's back into a double team at half court. Tries to hit it off Watson. Comes up with air.
Nice footwork by Watson.
Yeah, a little dance step.
That was the 12th Alabama turnover. They averaged 16 on the season.
Well, that's because of the pace they play, but that's a huge, huge number. And if they double that in the second half, they're going to have trouble winning this game with 24 turnovers.
Just over 90 seconds left before halftime. Miller, no. Beniaco had it. Smith rips it back. Smith ahead to Salas.
Good decision to pull this one out.
Timmy overplayed by Clowney. Last touch by Bama.
Sometimes you can tell by the defender. There's a deflection. And guess what? They have an overhead monitor here.
Just in case you couldn't tell from the reaction.
I won't say a word. I'll let them finish it off.
This is Bolton, turn back. Strong interior defense.
Bradley may have gotten the hand in there first.
Off the floor comes Sears, the Ohio University transfer. Inside, contact, no. Watson has it. It's a heavyweight fight. We're under a minute left. Watson. Here comes Salas. Underneath, no.
Fans want a couple of whistles in their way.
Clowney from deep. And Alabama's offense has gone stone cold.
It's proof that you don't want to hand out whistles as a giveaway. Because the fans would be blowing them all morning and afternoon.
Boy, Alabama hit 3 of its first 7 from deep. They're 1 of their last 8. It got cold, and they're down 4 on CBS. And a little bit of a mixed bag. Really a synopsis, Jimmy, of their season so far.
Yeah, it really has been. But they keep grinding. Mark Few said one of the things about the games they've lost, they never stop working. They never stop trying to grind with the other team. And this thing is shaping up for a great second half.
Indeed, final 15 seconds of the half. Shot clock at 7.
Watch the pick and pop. Good job there by Sears.
Salas, this will be contact before the catch.
It's going to be Clowney with the hold.
So bonus for the Zags. 1-1 here for Drew Timme.
He's right there before the catch. Timme understanding how to set his body up. The foul will bring him to the line. And no bucket, but well-executed play by Gonzaga.
So here's Timme. This is really the lone weakness of his game. Not a great season in terms of his free throw number.
Draws a lot of fouls, but 61% on the season. Keep in mind, there's plenty of time for Alabama right now to get a good quality shot off. And with that said, don't be surprised if they race the ball up the court very quickly, looking for opportunities.
Timme, 16 points. To go along with his 5 rebounds and 2 assists in 17 minutes. Can he lead the Zags to what would be a massive road win against the top 5 team? Final 7 seconds. This is the freshman Miller looking for some daylight.
Great defensive job.
Smith, boy, right in his lap. Suffocating Zags defense. And that takes us to halftime here in Birmingham. That Gonzaga defense forcing the turnovers. 7 straight for Gonzaga to close the half. Zags by 5. We'll send you to Adam Zucker in New York with AT&T at the half. Next. One of the biggest games in college basketball so far this season. 15,000 plus have jammed into this place here in Birmingham as we take a look at the first half stats presented by Buick. Big number, more turnovers than field goals for Nate Oates and Alabama, as they did not score over the final 3 minutes of the half. As we welcome you back courtside here in Birmingham, Spiro Ditas alongside New Jersey's favorite son, Jim Spinargle.
You too.
What did you take away from the first half, and what about some adjustments here for Nate Oates? How does he get their offense going?
What I took away from it was that Gonzaga played pretty good half-court defense, forcing those turnovers, picking up some charges. So I think what you're going to see in the second half, Alabama's got to be aggressive. They just have to make sure they don't carelessly turn the basketball over. And if I'm Mark Few, I'm telling my guys, with 3 turnovers, you guys played a very, very good offensive half. Continue to be aggressive, make the extra pass. They're top 4 in efficiency offensively in the NCAA. Good numbers. Stick to your guns if you're Gonzaga.
Mark Sears, one of the guys we started the show talking about, the transfer from Ohio University, has been a big piece for them, but really struggled, Jim, in the first half.
He really did, and you look at those numbers, they're not great in terms of, you know, the outside shot, which he is usually fairly consistent with. 44% from the three-point stripe, and you take a look at the shots here that are missing left and a little bit missing long. Those X's represent the shots that have been missed and where they're missing in terms of getting his shots off. He's going to be aggressive, though, Spear. He's going to continue to go, and I think Miller has to be aggressive and even more aggressive. He averages 13 shots per game. He's only had 5 shots. You know, he's gotten 4 free throws. He's got to get more active offensively.
Gonzaga 8-3. Entering this one today. You're in Alabama 9-1. Team that's knocked off 2 number 1s already this season. Looking for what would be another big one in their non-conference schedule. Zags come up empty on their first sequence. This is Bradley. Second straight start for the freshman. What's the call here? Looks like a wet spot on the floor.
Yeah.
But count the basket for Bradley, the freshman making his second straight start for the injured Namari Burnett. What a drive and finish.
Yeah, and unlike last year's team for Gonzaga that blocked a lot of shots, they don't block a lot of shots, only 3 right now. So why not keep driving it towards the basket? I think that was the mission early on with the strategy for Alabama, but they ran over some people at the same time.
Jim, I'm told we had some confetti, some premature confetti.
A little early.
We saved that for the potential Alabama postgame party, but they've got their hands full with the Zags. Down 3, opening minute, second half. That is Hickman.
Markview concentrated on that yesterday in practice. Get to the lane and be strong. 2 steps, land on it, and go up with a floater.
Brandon Miller underneath, and he cleans up his own mess.
A little bit more aggressive, too. We really didn't see him drive it that much in the first half. I have to believe he's going to get more active, maybe some isolations. Here's the double team behind him.
Timmy had it poked away. Tracks it down. Miller the theft. A foot race. Vicious.
Looked like a little hang time to me on that shot. And all of a sudden, everybody in this building has gotten behind Alabama.
Well, if you haven't heard the name Brandon Miller, get acquainted. Elite freshman, as Hickman is the answer.
And that's exactly where Markview wanted to go. Don't go all the way in. If the shot blocker's in front of you, pull up, hit that little floater.
Wow, Bradley taking contact. Beautifully done by Hickman.
Yep, sure was. He got the hand in about waist high. Good cut.
Watson to the rack. Already exceeding his season average. He's got double digits.
And I think most importantly, too, they're helping Timmy out with supporting Cass, scoring extra points.
Such a huge part of the story for Markview's Bulldogs as Miller misses on a 3. That one nearly deflected in the basket.
That looked from our angle. It looked like it was headed towards the basket. Yeah, you settle down and you run your sets. A lot of exchanges.
Timmy, well played. Bediako can't do it much better than that.
Bediako getting him to drift away. That's a plus. If Timmy comes towards you, look at the range.
Miller! Deep 3-point heater.
Spear, I was watching him before the game in warm-up shooting the ball. He was all by himself down one end shooting those kind of shots, even shooting them further out on the floor. What great range this young guy has.
This is Timmy. Contact, and he'll shoot free throws.
So has Miller gotten more active so far early? Yes, he has. Good little tip. Watch how high and how long he stays in the air. Boy, it's just effortless. And we showed it on the open. In transition, he can pull up from long range. That's not quite long range in his book, I don't think, though, even though it's pretty far for most people.
Jimmy, I think what you're trying to say is Brandon Miller is a bad boy.
Yeah, he can play. He can play.
Holy smokes.
If you haven't seen him play, just keep your eye on him.
So here's Drew Timmy, speaking of players. Already top 10 in points and rebounds in the history of Gonzaga. Whenever they have been in need of points, take a look at his parents here in the crowd in Birmingham. It's been Drew Timmy time.
Especially if he makes the free throws at a better clip than 62% or so. Because he does pick up a lot of fouls and draws the fouls.
Jimmy, it is Timmy time.
Okay, I'm ready.
It came early in Birmingham. 4-point game, just under 3 minutes gone by in the second half. What a matchup between these two teams. Alabama, number 14 in the country, their highest ranking in more than 15 years. And the Zags, 8-3, number 15th on the AP poll. Bradley, well played by Bolton.
We're seeing Bolton do a nice job on Bradley. We're also seeing Watson D'ing up on Miller. And Watson with his size at 6'8", a good matchup against Miller with his length at 6'9".
Here's Sears. Can he get his offensive game going?
See how they ran him into the right corner, not as effective with the right hit. They're using the right hand.
Boy, Hickman has been huge so far in the second half. Here's Strother with their number 2 scoring option, and Strother put a nice game together with his offense.
Yeah, it was one of the few times that Mark Few got a little loud in practice. Man, quick range. Because he doesn't bring it up over his head to shoot it, Spiro. If you notice, he's getting into that shot about right shoulder high and flipping it. A guy named Curry started that a long time ago, was pretty effective.
Brilliant defense by Bediako.
Yeah, that's kind of reading scouting reports and watching film and tendencies. Watch how he jumps. He's got him where he wants him. He's going to force him to the middle of the floor. Nice defensive effort just then.
The sensational defensive play by Bediako, one of the elite shot blockers, certainly in the SEC, maybe even the country. Second personal charge to Timmy.
And they keep looking for Miller. Here he is, backdoor cut. Look at the catch.
Inside, wow. Going glass, my goodness.
That was a tough one because he was just running himself way away from the basket.
Timmy inside, puts it down, and he's fouled.
It should be Timmy tricks, because that was a trick just then, Spiro. I'm sure you caught it. The way he extended that arm into the defender to get to the free throw line and then finish it off.
Gonzaga and Bama getting it on. See what they have done, and what a matchup between these two. Miller 10 points in the half, and we have played less than 5 minutes since the intermission. Already a couple of threes. And again, as good as any first-year player this season in college basketball. And forget freshmen.
Yeah, oh yeah, anybody. Yep. But now you have to think both sides of the equation right now. The stars, if you will, on each side.
Number 2,
Timmy and Miller are getting warmed up. What kind of adjustments do you make to get the ball out of his hand or double team him, Timmy? And you better make sure you're running over high screens and getting in the way of Miller if he's looking for his three.
So Timmy converts the three-point play. Gonzaga taking everything Alabama can throw at them and maintaining this lead of a half dozen.
Occasionally Miller, as he is now, is running the front, the point position. And they switch out on him both times just then.
Miller starting to simmer. No, missed it. And Clowney's going to shoot free throws.
And it's a good no call on Miller. He's complaining a little bit, but he did not put himself in a position to get to the line.
Looks like Clowney is hurt, clutching his wrist. Just think of how huge this kid has been. Speaking of freshman, Jim, SEC Freshman of the Week 2 weeks running. You think of how good Clowney was last week with Miller struggling in Houston against the #1 team in the country. It was this kid Clowney stepping up, led them in points, got that go-ahead basket with about a minute left. They don't win that game without Noah Clowney.
Yeah, absolutely. And, rebounding 4 games with 10 or more rebounds, so he's always on the glass. And here he is right now.
Have a look at where he may have jammed that wrist.
Yep, getting that support arm down before you hit with your body.
Looks like he's going to try to grit his way through. The foul, by the way, was charged to Strother, his third.
55% free throw shooter with a bad hand for a while.
And Alabama leaving some points on the free throw line.
Gonzaga really running their offense nicely.
Watson from deep. Boy, what a game he is putting together for Mark Few.
It's not a shot that he'll take very often, that's for sure. When you look at it, he was 3 for 12 coming in. Oh. Is that hand hurt now? And the pace starts to pick up again.
What a shot. 3-point check. Strother.
You got to fix the net down the other end after that dunk. Good thing they're not asking you or me to get out there and get that net.
Jimmy, I can barely get net. It's pretty pathetic. Biggest lead of the day for Gonzaga. Second straight meeting in year that these two teams are getting together. First two meetings all time between these schools. Three-pointer won't go for Gurley.
Nice look up the floor.
Timmy the leak out. Look at Gurley get back to bother it, and it creates the turnover.
A terrific effort by Gurley that time. Because when you think about Timmy runs the floor from rim to rim very, very well. He senses it. He gets off. Now you see him trying to break or deflect the shot outside. He gets right back to the middle of the floor for a catch. Just doesn't come up with it because of the great defensive play.
What kind of fight does this Alabama team have down the stretch against the veteran Gonzaga team? So much experience in big games.
That's a bump out front from Salas.
Bulldog foul number 5.
Number 2 against Salas, one of their top defensive players.
Just impeding the progress of the offensive player. An easy call for the officials.
This is Quinterly now running the point. Inside, but with a chance at 3.
So, Spiro, what they do is they run Miller hard to the top of the key area to bring defensive looks at him. See, he's coming up this way, and then watch. Salas turns his head, number 5 in blue, and doesn't really see the play, and it's a perfectly thrown backdoor cut. Beautiful read. What you're doing there when you have the basketball, you wait for that play to develop, and you watch Salas and watch his head. If his head never turns back to see where the ball is, great time to go backdoor with it.
And Jimmy, that's a big call. Salas has to sit with his third personal. Such a big piece for Mark Few, especially with his defense. Critical juncture here, 14 and change. Bama within 6.
Yeah, and a bucket that Alabama needed, both for their confidence and to get the fans a little bit back into this game again. We got a hold on the left side. I believe it was Miller.
Jim, this is where a kid like Nolan Hickman has to really step into a big spot. You think of all the great lead guards that Mark Few has had, especially in recent years. Jalen Suggs, Andrew Nembhard last year. Can Hickman step into that spot and take the reins of this offense in a game like this?
Yeah, he's not a real vocal type kid, but they think he can do that. It's just that he has to grow into those assignments.
Hickman unable to feed the post to Timmy. There he is in front of the Zags bench, trying to step into the big, big void. You think of what Suggs and Nembhard meant to this program.
They weren't bad, were they? 8 seconds on the shot clock. Let's see how they execute.
Strother's going to pull. Misses badly.
That's because he fumbled the ball out front.
Miller. Oh, he buries it. How good is this kid?
And that's one I haven't seen yet for him in terms of coming off the low screen down low, coming out to the wing and really planted and letting it rip. Good 2 responses by Alabama.
CBS, and it is the year of the big man. Jimmy, we know you like that. Some pretty good bigs.
Oh, there's some great names there, and that guy on the right knows how to rebound a little bit, doesn't he? 13 a game. Shibwe, just it goes up, and it's his just about every single time, it seems like.
And those young Bucks will be stepping on the big stage at Madison Square Garden. Brad Nessler, Bill Raftery, Jenny Dale will have the call a little bit later on CBS. Boy, Jim, we expected this to be intense, high level, and these two teams have not disappointed. Top 15 matchup, Bama and the Zags here in Birmingham.
Looking for that back door because Alabama's extending a little bit, which makes a whole lot of sense.
Hickman puts it on the deck, into the paint. High arching shot. Brilliantly done by Hickman.
They have taken the assignment in the scouting report and pull up for those little floaters from about 8 feet away instead of challenging any of the bigs down low for Alabama.
Hickman was Andrew Nembhard's understudy last year. Just keeps on coming. He is flammable at this point.
Boy, is he really looking at and variations of shots that we're seeing him from long range. The drives to the basket. Trying to get Timmy the basketball, not allowing it.
3-point game. Still plenty of time to shoot. This is Malachi Smith. Battle Watson underneath to Timmy. Doubled. He scores anyway.
I'll tell you, that was a terrific high-low set. Getting the ball up there, a nice little lob pass, and Timmy went quickly with it as the double came after him.
Bradley can't answer, and Timmy with a loose change. So Drew Timme, 23 points. Brandon Miller, the freshman, has 25 for the Crimsontide.
That's a little push shot.
That's his stroke. That little patented push floater. He's got 25 for the Zags.
You know, when you're guarding him, Spiro, you look at it and you say, I'm not going to come up because he wants to get 5 feet within the basket. And then all of a sudden he throws that variation to his game. It's really unstoppable if he can get that 8 to 10 footer floater to go.
Miller sizes up against Strother. The spin, the shot, sticks it.
They have a pretty good defender on him too. Strother, their best wing defender. And he is really showing his skill level.
Malachi Smith, a little bit of contact. What's the call? Offensive by Smith. Bradley beat him to the spot, giving Nate Oates some defense.
Now watch out when Timmy gets the basketball. Nobody comes up to play him at times. And now he goes to the baseline, gets a lob there, and now Miller at the other side, really showing his talent.
On a confrontational
Birmingham sellout crowd, standing room only. There's Daryl Miller. That's Brandon's pop, taking it all in. He is a man who knows a thing or two about high-level collegiate athletics. He actually played college football at Alabama under Gene Stallings a couple of years before their national championship team in the early 90s. That's a proud papa.
Oh, I think he likes what he sees, especially in the second half when Miller became much more active. One other thing, too, Spiro, to point out, 14 turnovers for Alabama in the first half. Nate Oates' team has turned it over once in the second. So you see the difference in their scoring ability when they're not rattled by turnovers.
So impressive to see what Nate Oates has built. Took over the program 4 years ago. Miller elevates. It's a rare miss for the freshman. Tapped out by Clowney. Watson able to track it down to the cup. Puts it down. A forceful two-handed thump.
And I love the play by Watson just to trigger the ball and just deflect it. Don't try to catch it if you can't. 3 guys around the ball, kick it out towards half court. Generally, good things will happen for you.
This is Quinterly, missed the first couple of games of the season, coming back from the ACL tear as Miller is fouled on the catch. This will be on Bolton.
Yeah, watch when this ball goes out. A couple of guys come in. You see how he just slaps at it? He slaps at it in the direction where his momentum is taking him. And good results there in the finish.
Third personal on Bolton, Jimmy, and already the 6th against Gonzaga. And we are not even to the midway point of the half.
And how about the game Watson is putting up with 15 points?
Here's Bradley, contact. This is going to be offensive.
So this is always an interesting call. Spiro, it's who's, if you're in legal guarding position, who's creating the contact? And to my eye right there, Bradley takes that shoulder, watch, and throws it out. Now it's getting close, but he's kind of more, in my opinion, creating the bump rather than the defender in that play. Not an easy call for the officials, though.
I like when you start breaking down officiating. Gets me excited. Watson kicks out. Smith. Boy, he gets a friendly bounce. Big shot from Malachi Smith.
That's exactly the lift he likes to give them, because keep in mind, they want him shooting that shot because he's very good at it at 46% on the season.
First-year transfer from Chattanooga. He's given the Bulldogs their biggest lead.
This is a tip, so it's okay to go get it. He doesn't know about it, though. He's got to be careful.
Looked confused for a second.
It, didn't he?
That's what Mark Few is saying. They get it to Gurley. 3, no.
Nice effort on the glass just then by Clowney, but a better effort by Gonzaga.
Well, Nolan Hickman, we wondered if he could take the reins. He's been huge for them so far since the intermission. Timmy.
Hickman, no turnovers, by the way.
Timmy, boy, spins into the double. That's a travel.
Yeah, that was getting close to a tie-up on the swing step by Timmy. It's a good call because watch how he comes in. You're going to see a second defender come over. and he's going to reach in and get his hands on the ball just for a second. Almost a tie-up and an extra step. Good work by the officials again.
What a game this has been. Alabama, number 4 team in the country, built a 9-point lead in the first half before Gonzaga finished strongly. Bulldogs led at the break by 5. Bama cut it to 3 early stages of this half before the Zags had pushed it back to 10.
Yeah, they look like an experienced team, don't they?
Yes, they do. Bradley taking on contact. Well played inside by Bolton, who's playing with 3.
Yeah, and the inexperience is shot selection. Watch the shot selection here going forward. Now, no force it here. He'll probably kick it out to make sure they get a good look. Nice screen out front by Timmy.
This is Malachi Smith. Boy, the little hesitation, just masterful.
Yeah, they continue to keep looking at what the center is doing defensively, and if they sit back under the basket, they pull up again for the 5-footer.
Malachi Smith, big-time offensive player last year at Chattanooga. Boy, Bediako, hesitation, contact, and a chance at 3.
And how about the no-look pass by Miller also? Miller just kind of hangs with the ball, watch, turns, he's looking to the right, to the wing. He slips it right under the basket. Nice cut, too. And you see Watson lost it. You see Watson's head. When you can see a defender turning their head left and right looking for the ball, it's going to be too late.
For Bediako, as good as he is defensively, at times he's had some issues with his offense. Can you keep him on the floor, Jim, late in close games? If he's giving them some offense, makes that decision for NATO, it's a little bit easier.
Well, to add to your point, too, Spiro, 44% from the free throw line. You probably can't keep him on there at the offensive end. It may be offense and defensive switches.
Here's Hickman, gets the pick from Timmy. He's going to fire. A little bit short. What a rebound in traffic.
But they've taken very good shots, Gonzaga. That one's just missed.
That was Gurley with the clear. And then Miller bumped in the transition. And a 1-and-1 now. So already the Crimson Tide in the bonus. Well, the iconic series is back with double the laughs and plenty of drama. The new season of The Game is now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Head to ParamountPlus.com to try it for free. So now the free throws looming large for Alabama. This kid can stroke them. 82% at the free throw line with his Pop Darrell looking on here in Birmingham.
It really is a smooth stroke. I mean, and he has range on it. And as I touched on before, even with this free throw, doesn't come up over his head.
He was 8 of 9 from the line last week in the second half in that win at Houston, including 6 of 6.
So the fans are trying to rattle Gonzaga at the offensive end of the floor, but what we've seen is pretty much carefree basketball without turnovers. Nice cross-court pass here.
Smith, massive three-pointer for Gonzaga.
And how about Timmy out of the post again? Spiro left side low, kicks it across to the wing.
Here's Miller. You saw the new career high. Nice defense from Smith. Miller gets it back and sticks it. He just keeps on coming.
I know he's got a ways to go for this. The comparison to me is like a little bit of Kevin Durant. There's a little Durant in him. Even a little of Durant is good.
A little bit of that is a lot. Bolton, boy, pretty floater. Gonzaga has found something with their offense here down the stretch.
I'd put the word patient on it. That's what they found, I think, in terms of just being comfortable, spreading the floor. And they're trying to basically go against one guy with Miller.
Gurley can't do it much better than that. Under control. Over Alabama. Can they get some scoring support from Miller?
I was just thinking the same exact thing. We talked about Timmy and having Gonzaga help him. Somebody's got to step up. Watch the two-step jump. There you go.
This is Watson from deep. Left it short. Boy, Gurley had it. Smith picked his pocket.
Yeah, great box out by Gurley to almost get that ball, but Smith comes a long way to catch it off the floor.
What intensity here in Birmingham. Hickman over 3, puts it down. Nolan Hickman, how good has he been in the second half?
5 for 7 on the afternoon, but his decisions have been terrific. As I mentioned a second ago, no turnovers so far. 21 minutes.
Brandon Miller on a 3-point launch.
And Miller keeps looking for it, talking to the officials like he's getting hit on just about every shot. So the fans know that if they can get a stop right here and get another bucket, It's game time on again.
It's basically a home game for Alabama. Hickman, no. Cleared by Miller.
Here's their chance, Spiro, right now to keep this fans going crazy, and they turn it over. Tough long pass. That was a long pass from half court just then to try to get it through traffic.
Again, those Alabama turnovers, the Achilles heel for this young team so far this season.
Yep, 17 right now.
Under 6 minutes left. Everyone standing here in Birmingham. Timmy, as their leader, drop step, lays it in. Magical.
Because he can go both ways with that footwork, defensively it's just really difficult to defend him.
One of the all-time players in the history of their school. And he is going toe-to-toe with Brandon Miller, who's having a career day here in Birmingham.
And Spiro, you noticed when we spoke about it at the half to begin this half, he is really taking it on his shoulders to lead this Alabama team. To your point, who's going to be able to help him keep the scoring up and down the stretch? Watch the drop step, and he's quick with the inside hand to get it to the glass.
Brandon Miller, the basketball prodigy out of Antioch, Tennessee, and Cane Ridge High School, having a game of his life.
Yeah, 10 of 15, and what these circles will show you how difficult it is to guard him, because he doesn't have just one move. And when you look at his shot at the rim map, pretty much close to perfect on all of the ones that are sitting close to here. And then he's got to worry about these two misses out front.
Now, Jimmy, those are just his second half numbers. Just an amazing display of offensive ability from one of the premier freshmen in the country.
He only took the 5 shots in the first half, as we touched on.
Told you about where these two teams sit. Bama, number 4 team in the country. Their highest rank since the 06-07 season. They've already knocked off 2 number 1s. Some huge games that they put together. But right now getting all they can handle, down 8 against Gonzaga. Bulldogs 8-3.
Yeah, they're cheating a little bit on Timmy there. It's man-to-man, but they're camping out in the middle of the floor, and it's going to go the other way on him.
Boy, give Ryland Griffin all kinds of credit trying to force the issue with his defense. What'd you think?
Timmy's sliding up a little bit. You got to make sure you plant yourself. More times than not, it's the guard going too quickly.
Chess match continues between Mark Few and Nate Oates. Beautiful strip. Malachi Smith against Miller. As we cross the 5-minute mark here in Birmingham. Nate Oates, year 4. Plucked out of obscurity by Bobby Hurley to join his staff in Buffalo. What a coach and career he's putting together. So the Zags ratchet up the defense. They force him to burn a timeout. Back to the drawing board for Nate Oates. Down 8 with 4 and change left, second half.
This holiday season, save big on all the gifts you need for the gifts that keep on giving. Because while they have no idea what's going on here, a little something of their own will get them in the spirit. They don't know why you'd ever leave the house like this, but they'll happily hold down the fort while you're gone.
Smile.
And let's be honest, they'll never understand this whole situation. But they do get this. Thank goodness. Great prices, happy pets, Chewy.
Well, he could do it all when you take a look at a nice strip here going the other way, and that beautiful extension to finish that off. But watching him come off screens is really something else that's kind of interesting to me. I mean, he's got that set type shot, he's got it off the dribble, and then when he comes up off a screen and can plant that inside leg, usually the left leg, to plant it and get his shot off in rhythm. Boy, he's a tough out, to say the least.
My goodness, 36 points, highest scoring game by a freshman this season in the country.
I think you got to get somebody else involved, though. It might be Bradley may want to get involved a little bit in Sears.
Contact here. Boy, this one hurts. Gonzaga forced them way out in the front court. And now double bonus for the Crimson Tide for the final 4:49. 2 free throws. Just the last thing that Mark Few wanted in that sequence.
Yeah, but not totally dissatisfied, because 14 is at the line, who doesn't shoot it real well at 44%, Bediako.
Good point. Hits on the first. I think he heard you, Jimmy. The NCAAs Hawaii, and NCAAs Los Angeles crossover event. Monday, January the 9th. It begins 8/7 Central on CBS.
That is major huge right there. You get two, and don't think these fans didn't react to those two free throws and who was shooting them.
Bediako's been big for them. Gonzaga's lead down to a half dozen. Hickman, what a pass to Timmy. Trying to thread the needle. Dangerous pass. 15 to shoot.
I put that on the good catch list right there for Timmy. Mark Few thought that was going about 3 rows deep.
Gonzaga again already 3 losses this season. Blowout defeats to Texas and Purdue. And a 1-point loss to Baylor. In what has been one of the most brutally tough non-conference schedules any team has played this season. Gonzaga gets Watson the shot. He missed it.
Once again, that floater that everybody has seemed to be taking for Gonzaga. The guards, Timmy and Watson. That one not going down.
Miller.
Yeah, they got to force the ball out of his hands. That's why you're seeing Timmy come out in the double team. Who's going to step up?
Sears. This is Clowney to the basket. Offensive foul.
Very, very close to the restricted area on this play, too. Here's that drive to the basket. Looks like he's cleared.
Potentially dangerous fall, but Watson, the officials say, beats him to the spot out of the restricted zone.
And that's the one I was talking about before. That's by rule, that's a good call. But how do you, when a guy puts that first foot down and he's naturally going into the second one, he can't stop. So to allow him to move in like that, I think they may have to tweak that rule.
Jimmy, I got about 15,000 plus who agree with your assessment.
Some of them are wearing red and white shirts.
Malachi Smith's pass to Timmy. And this place is going to go crazy. It's on Clowney. A 6-point Gonzaga lead as these two step on the big stage. Morales and our director Corey Fishman, rest of our CBS crew, Birmingham, Alabama. Second time these two schools have met in as many years. Last year in Seattle, a game won by Alabama. Zags trying to return the favor.
Yeah, they usually try to run something to the left corner and/or delayed cut to the basket. Like Timmy, well defended though, not letting him go down the middle of the floor.
Next Alabama whistle puts the Zags in a 1-1. A dangerous pass, Bolton to Timmy. 10 to shoot. Timmy leans in over the top of Clowney. Big time shot from the National Player of the Year candidate, Drew Timmy.
And at the same time, that high screen, Sears took a shot to the knee, so he's hobbled just a little bit running around. I don't think Bradley or Sears has to look for an open shot. You got to get the ball out of this guy's hand, Miller.
Miller has been lethal. Boy, beautiful strip. It was Bolton who got a piece.
And where did he get it? Right below the waist just then. And that's exactly what you want to do from a defensive standpoint. You're not going to block his shot in there, but you can block it down low.
Last big non-conference chance for the Zags to really build their tournament resume. Bolton into the paint, swallowed up by Miller, but contact will put him at the free throw line.
Another good pass from Timmy outside to Bolton. People are looking up at this shot, and they're looking at the hands way up high, and it looks like a good block, but the foul occurred once again down by the waist by Miller.
So 2 free throws for Rajier Bolton, the second-year transfer. Third NCAA stop for the young man. Began at Penn State, then Iowa State. Last year made the seamless transition to this Mark Few-led program. Terrific three-point shooter. And one of the supporting cast players who's really given them the support around Timmy that they have desperately needed in this one.
And 80 plus from the free throw line. Had a huge game against Kentucky earlier in the year.
He has been huge here down the stretch. Clowney, the freshman, puts it on the deck underneath. Knocked away by Timmy.
Now if you're Gonzaga, you don't want to milk this clock and really take your rhythm away from what you've accomplished to this point, but you can be selective.
20 Alabama turnovers forced by the Zags.
So here's what I mean by selective. Timmy didn't even look to do anything there. Now he will, though. Good pass.
Into the corner. This is Watson. Back to Timmy. Boy, Timmy had an open shot. He went to Smith.
Unselfish play right there. It's like Timmy is so good from that distance away. You probably want to go percentages with him, but very unselfish.
Bradley, that is a big shot.
Alabama's going to full court action here. They're going to try to rattle Gonzaga. Let's see what they do in handling the ball. They put in the hands. This is a nice move by putting this in a 6'8" guy's hands, and he's guarded by Bediako right now, so he can play the point forward position and not be rattled with pressure out front.
Desperation time for Alabama. In a 10-point hole with a $1:39 left. Smith, Timmy to the rack, contact, and he will shoot. The savviness and the all-around game of Timmy to earn a trip to the free throw line. Jimmy, as we revisit our AT&T 5G fast analysis.
Well, we picked the right guys to focus on in that because neither one of them is disappointed. Miller and Timmy just basically leading their teams respectively. Miller with 36, Timmy with 29, and he's at the line right now.
You will not see two more big-time Indians basketball than what we've seen today from Timmy. Playing in front of his parents. And this kid, Brandon Miller. But it has just been too much of Gonzaga down the stretch.
How about 5 guys in double figures, too, for Gonzaga? We kept asking the question, who's going to step up and support Timmy's effort? As he misses that second one, he's got the 29 points, but he has had a lot of complimentary scores across the board.
Dribble drive by Bradley. The basket will not count. Contact on the drive. With 1:26 left. And more free throws coming up for the Crimsontide. There's your star watch. 36 for Miller, 29 for Timmy. And our visit with Mark Few yesterday was so interesting to be able to sit and pick his brain. There has been talk, Jim, that maybe this is not as talented as some of the Gonzaga teams. And Mark Few said it himself that they've had. But he talked about this opportunity today to get this one, get their confidence level up. And clearly, as we can see, they've got the goods. They've got the talent to make another deep postseason run.
Yeah, and even though they had those 3 losses, he did say, you know, because they were really in the games and competitive, there's just these like building blocks. And I think those 3 games have helped in a game like this to come and play Alabama. Alabama is a terrific team. Let's see if they can get something going with the full court press action. Look for a double team. They have mostly 4 guards with 1 big in the back. That's why they switched Miller on Watson here to put a smaller guy rather than the center on him.
Watson turns the corner. Nasty. What a luxury to have a kid that size to be able to handle the basketball in this kind of a spot. What a moment for Watson.
Came in averaging 8.5 points. And these are 16 and 17 for the day. Nobody around the corner. He just continues to attack. A terrific move to really rattle everybody in this building.
Young man who had to deal with injuries the last couple of years. He was buried a little bit behind Chet Holmgren and Timmy last season. Finally healthy. One of his bets, 68 seconds left. 1 timeout left apiece. Crimsontide will have it. Jimmy, but in a 10-point hole, they need some late game magic.
They really do. I mean, they need to really, really gamble at the defensive end of the floor.
Here's Nate Oates, the 48-year-old head coach.
Need a quick hitter here.
They've had some monster wins this season. Getting everything they want from the Bulldogs. Look at Smith, rips it away for the steal.
That was a terrific Timmy hedge and double team.
Where those Alabama turnovers have been the major headline in this one.
21. That's a huge number. They turn it over 17 times a game. That's a big number on average. But Timmy jumping out along the sideline right there, creating that opportunity. And then no choice but the foul at that point.
Jimmy, how impressed have you been with the Bulldogs?
Very. I tell you, the way they hung around here, you know, everybody was expecting, and I was, like maybe a 15-4 explosion by Alabama somewhere, a little run out. Mark Few has his team executing well at the defensive end in the first half, picking up all those charging and turnovers that they picked up. And their offense has been terrific in terms of being patient and spreading the floor and not in a hurry to go anywhere.
Bradley high off glass.
Keep the pressure on now and see if they can make some magic happen here.
Malachi Smith ahead of the field to Hickman. Final 45 seconds.
Good release pass just then.
Bolton and deflected out of bounds by Sears. Also Griffin coming over to help. Tornado, it's running out of clock here with 43 and change remaining.
And I think you just have to play the fouling game right now. There you go. You can't substitute a foul for seconds off the clock, because you know that if you take that strategy, and Nato knows this, they'll just execute for 15 seconds of that 21 seconds that was left on the shot clock.
Alabama's only loss this season was a 15-point defeat to Danny Hurley in Connecticut. Came in late November. 9-1 on the season. With those precious ticks coming off the clock. Oh, for those expecting to see the North Carolina-Ohio State game, it is now available at CBSSports.com and the CBS Sports app. We will get you to Madison Square Garden as soon as this one is over. Miller, wild shot, long two, missed it. And this one just about over with 28 seconds left.
A little bit of a statement for Drew Timme and his teammates in this one, I think. Third toughest non-conference schedule that we touched on earlier.
Mark Few told us yesterday, still tinkering to try to figure out, best lineups to close games, rotations. Something tells me he's figured some things out in this game here in Birmingham.
And there's so many moving parts too, Spiro, with the numbers, right? Alabama at 4 at this point, Gonzaga at 15. I mean, do they have to be set in cement? Not really. Right. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts with a bunch of teams in college right now.
Well, Jimmy, you think of the teams that Mark Few has had, the great teams that came up short the last couple of years. 2 runner-up finishes in the last 5 NCAA tournaments. This one, if you could call them under the radar, maybe not as talented, maybe this is the team that can come up with a deep postseason run.
Well, they have some chemistry that they've shown today for sure, and if Watson continues to play like he's been playing.
Three-pointer from Miller won't go. Griffin tracks it down. Boy, turns and scoops it in. Beautifully done off glass. But perhaps too little too late. 15 seconds inbound to Hickman.
Probably just let it play out the clock, get it across half court.
Where the Gonzaga Bulldogs, they've been blown out by a couple of the elite teams this season. Texas, Purdue, they get a massive non-conference victory here in Birmingham as they knock off the number 4 team in the country. 100-90 is your final as Gonzaga gets its 9th win of the season. For Jim Spinarkle, our entire crew, Spiro Dita saying so long. We'll get you to the CBS Sports Classic when we continue next.